Hey, what is up guys, Massive here, back to do another video, and today I've got a game featuring Fanatics. In fact, I've got two games for you today. I thought I'd bundle these two into the same video because they have to do with the same thing, though different use cases. Fanatics, just a quick reminder, have had their cost reduced from $700 to $600 in the recent patches. So they're a little bit cheaper now to build, and from my testing throughout the last couple of months, I've found them to be correct at this cost. I think 700 was a bit expensive for the disposable nature, let's just say, of them. You can't rank them up, nor do they do anything aside from suicide themselves. So yeah, it's not the best. But I've got two games here for you. This game I'm going to be playing as the Black Hand faction, and the next game as well. So I'm not going to have the Tiberium Infusion to increase the speed of them, so they're going to be limited in effectiveness. So we're going to see what I'm going to do. What do I have in mind as Black Hand with Fanatics squads? Now I'm going to open up with a bike. This is something you can do in a mirror. I didn't mention this at the start, but this is a Black Hand mirror. Black Hand mirror? No, he's actually not vanilla, come to think of it. So he's going to have the laser capacitors, so the longer this game goes, the more screwed I'm going to be. Let's just say. I think laser capacitor scorpion tanks really do mess up Black Hand, because how do you respond to them? You can't go infantry, because they just crush your infantry with the scorps. Your scorpion tanks are worse off, because they don't have laser capacitors. Purifiers, they got a flamethrower, but the scorps don't have to engage at maximum range, so the flamethrower is not even going to be able to do any damage. It's tricky, guys. It is tricky. So you need to try and get ahead in the early mid-game. So I'm going to have a mid-game strategy plan. And fortunately, this time, I do. This one bike sometimes can fool your opponent into thinking there's a lot more bikes coming. In fact, I had several games prior to this one where I'm scouting exactly the same as I am here. I went for one bike, but then I also had 4 bikes at my base queuing up behind this one bike. So I let one bike out of my base to scout, make it look like I only built one, and then behind it lots more bikes coming. But he didn't take the bait, and he's not actually building anything to stop this bike with. Lots of harvesters out for him. Of course, you can't see his harvesters because they are stealth. Even whilst harvesting, they do stealth. And the good thing about the bike is I can kill buggies, so the buggy scout of my opponent will also be killed, which is a nice early win. I think it makes more sense if your opponent is a nod faction to go for that bike scout. Maybe versus Black Hand, the buggy's better because you can clean up cabals, but only in the case that you're random and your opponent's built those cabals, because I'm pretty sure that your opponent's not going to build cabals versus another nod faction, because typically it's just buggies, right? There's no reason to build cabals or militants, because they're just going to get killed and XP will be given in the process. In fact, in vanilla, it was even worse for Black Hand if you built cabals in the mirror, because the cabals had a bug where they gave so much experience when killed that losing 2 cabals would rank up the enemy buggy. I think it was even 1 cabal. I think it was $1,200 XP that they gave in vanilla. I'll put it up on the screen how much XP they rewarded, and it was a damn lot of experience. That was one squad. Anyways, I've got a Fanatic Reckoner here. So, because I don't have Tiberium Infusion, because Fanatics move very slowly, and because I don't have the call for transport ability, though, to be honest, I haven't ever seen Fanatics used with call for transport. Guys, Fanatics and call for transport. That just came to mind here. Fanatic call for transport. Interesting. Maybe we can use that in the future. You know what, guys? Maybe in the future, I'll make a video featuring Fanatic carry-all strategies. The Fanatics are coming in here, and I blow up 2 harvesters. 1 harvester was waiting to dock. 1 was docking. Both of them get splashed down, and that was beautiful in my opinion. That moment right there, beautiful. Killed 2 harvesters. That Fanatic Reckoner paid off massively, and also my Reckoner is going to make it out alive. And because Reckoners get that Dose Blade upgrade, which in R22 provides them with a 30% armor decrease, incoming damage is decreased by 30%, I never like to say plus 30% armor. It's more correct saying damage is decreased by 30%. That's what Dozer Blades do for the Reckoners with Dozer Blades. Bloody hell, these upgrades and numbers are quite a mouthful in this game, I will say so. So I'm heading out once again with another Fanatic Reckoner. 2 of them, in fact. And because, again, like I said at the start of this video, Fanatics are $600, I'm going to be able to pump these Fanatics out and not really interfere with my actual game plan, which is to tech up to tier 3 and build a secondary MCV. I'm not planning to counter this Scorp spam of his with my own Scorps. Trust me, that is not a good idea. I've done it numerous times. It is not going to work, guys. It is a disaster. Maybe Scorps plus Redeemer, but again, he can do the same exact thing. I want to have something a bit more reliable. I want to combat this in an asymmetrical fashion. So therefore, I'm going for an MCV. And I'm working on that MCV now. I'm upgrading the Dozer Blades as well. It could also be the quad turret upgrades, which it is. I got Dozers earlier. Of course, that's another change that was introduced in 1.2 Plus. You can go for quad turrets. Quad turrets are amazing in a mirror because the shredder turrets with that particle beam upgrade are effective against vehicles. Getting that 4th turret is going to make them even better. So Fanatics moving towards the enemy harvesters, and because there's no anti-infantry there, all I have to do is find a harvester and blow it up. Infantry do detect stealth, all of infantry, so just approaching an enemy harvester will be enough to detect it. Catalyst missile comes down, and I don't think I got the harvester containing blue tip. You can see it now. Blue tip is visualized in the harvester, and it won't be long before he gets that laser capacitor upgrade, which is going to be huge problems for me. Chemical plant is still around for me. If I want some quick resources, I can sell that off. It's wise to at this point because I have to defend against these tanks, and he's gonna get the laser capacitor upgrade just now, and now I'm in deep trouble with only half a dozen tanks. He has a big tank advantage, and I don't have anything besides 2 MCVs and a couple of obelisks queued. It's gonna be a tricky hold. This Purify comes out, but that's very expensive, very costly with just that 1 laser on it. It's not gonna do a lot against that many tanks. I've got a Reckoner deployed with triple rocket at my main in case he attacks me there. Flame tank though, gonna kill my power, which is unfortunate. That is devastating in fact for me. Black Hand do get the power signature scan, which will detect enemy power plants. So if you want to kill them, you can just queue at some enemy power plants with that power signature scan. You can give orders to your units to kill them. But not... They are effective with these Scorps, and he's attacking my obelisks. I feel like here he could have gone for the harvesters. Maybe 1 or 2 harvesters could have gone down, but it would have been costly for him to do that. I was pulling my harvesters back. And since these Scorpion tanks have 20% armor with dozers, it will just about let them survive from being hit by an obelisk strike. So obelisk lights don't one-shot them with dozer blades, which is notable. Another attacker Scorpion tanks heading towards me. And there's a good example there, yeah. I used the decoy temple of Nod just to force these units into me a little bit more so I can get some more shots off. He's not going to choose to stick around there. MCV getting hit in the back. But I do have the laser fence on that construction yard. But once that laser fence disappears to 66% health, it's going to be much easier for it to be killed. And he's still continuing to focus it down. I don't think he has a tier 4, a Tiberium chemical plant to summon in the vapor bomb. Could have killed the MCV that way. Another army of Scorpion tanks in my expansion. This is really tricky to hold off. I'm getting hit from all sides. I'm being forced to sell off obelisks, to build power plants, to power down my structures, make sure I never go offline on power. And all the while I have to make sure I'm harvesting and getting ahead with this field in the middle of the map. Tiberium is running dry on my natural expansion, but to be honest, defending this location now is not that valuable because there's no Tiberium left there. Another tank army. I think now's the time I should go for a Redeemer, but I want to cement my position in this game. That's why I'm going for another refinery. I have obelisk queued, lots of obelisks of light. And these spikes are probably giving him income at this point. He's also taking blue Tiberium in the southern location. Fortunately, none was taken at my blue field. And I'm going to transfer my units over to that expansion. So yeah, he has to make his move, and he has to make it soon. He's going for my obelisk. There's 4 obelisks of light there. I placed down another one. This double MCV is my best bet in holding off this relentless pressure from the Nob player. This is a very disadvantageous position for the Black Hand player to be in versus Scorpion tanks. This is very difficult to hold off, guys. It may look like I'm doing okay, but it is very hard. He pushes through, actually gets through all of my defenses, kills a number of my harvesters, and decides to pull back. He took minimal losses considering he engaged into 4 obelisks of light. He felt confident, and his losses were not that much. But he didn't push me off this field, and that's the main thing. And now I'm considering my options. I feel infantry is the way to go, because if I go infantry and he decides to crush me, and I push also at the same time with an MCV, he's going to be crushing his way through my infantry whilst getting into range of my obelisk of light. So in one hand, I'm losing my infantry, but at the same time, his Scorpion tanks will be getting destroyed by the obelisk of light, which I'll have queued. And I believe this is maybe the best way to handle this. It's very map dependent. On a map where both players have to contest a field, obelisk of light can help massively, and I feel that was the best thing I did there. Redeemer would have helped against those Scorpion tanks for sure, but I felt if I had built a Redeemer, invested almost 9 grand into the Redeemer engineering facility and the Redeemer itself, I wouldn't have had those obelisks necessary to defend my base off, and I probably would have lost. So I have to make decisions, and in that case, Epic Unit was not the right way to go. So I hope you all enjoyed that game, guys. Let's go into game number 2 and see what that one's all about. Alright guys, we are back with game number 2, and this was the map I featured several videos ago with the subway system being used, and today I've got a game with Black Hand and we versus Nod once again, so I'm going to be in the same situation as the last game versus Nod versus those laser capacitor Scorpion tanks, assuming this game goes on to the late game. But quick rundown on this map, if you haven't seen it before, there are 2 spikes per player. One sort of safe spike near your MCV and one that's a little bit further away. I've seen a game where this can be approached by shadow teams before your opponent captures it, so maybe the location of its spike could be moved a little bit to avoid shadow teams from sniping the engineer right away, which is a big deal. That can certainly lose GDI and Nob players and Scrim players alike the game. In fact, not have an easier time versus shadow teams due to the buggy having the speed and the anti-air, anti-infantry capability to counter the shadow teams. But the Nob vanilla faction don't have stealth detection on their buggy, so they have to make a bike as well to support this. Nonetheless, I'm going to be in this game going for an eco strategy. I need to do a bit of scouting. I am Black Hand, so I'm going to have the best scouting unit in the game. As long as Mad Kane don't build an Awaken, you're going to have the best early game scout around. Raider Buggy comes in for my opponent. Instead of me building that buggy, I'm going for bikes. I thought, okay, I'm going to make a bike. Let's go for several bikes and assume my opponent's going for some sort of rush, but we see that the Raider Buggy is there. There's no rush coming. I've seen a number of players fake this. It looks like they're ecoing up because they went buggy first, but in reality, like that previous game on Highlands, it's just a bluff and they've got stuff coming behind it. So you can't assume. I'm versus Numfish here, and he is someone who will utilize mind games. He is known to do that. So I'm making a couple bikes. I've got 4 out to be precise at this moment. But he sees them coming. He sees them coming a mile away, and he's going to be able to defend quite nicely. Cabal going to his base there just to verify what kind of forces he has, so I don't run into several of his bikes and lose mine. You've got to be very conservative at this point in time. Every unit lost is a big deal. I've got my bikes on hot fire stance. Briefly, I had them on hard fire stance so they wouldn't waste their rockets on anything besides the target I want to destroy. Seconds count, especially when your opponent is building response, and he has plenty of ways to respond to this with. He's already got 3 buggies out, and those do a lot of damage to bikes. Bikes are not that good at withstanding gun damage. But I'm going to micro these bikes and avoid taking that DPS. I think in his case, he should have gone for bikes, but I understand the reasoning behind buggies as well. I remember Bonus back in the day did the same thing. Not a fan of it myself. Anyways, I'm going for infantry because I saw he didn't pack his MC up. I think I caught a glimpse of him going for 2 war factories. So instead of me going for 2 war factories, I'm going to make use of the city in the middle of this map and garrison that up with the infantry. And when I get that Black Disciple upgrade online, I'm going to be able to also clear out the structures there that he has garrisoned up. I'm going to send my bikes across the map to see if he has been taking harvest blue Tiberium. No blue tip harvesters there for him. 2 raider buggies there. I was a bit, something spooked me. Seeing those buggies made me think he's building buggies because he's going bikes afterwards. Because why would you have a couple of buggies if not for a push after? Sell the Secret Shrine off. I don't need Purifying Flame at this time, even though it's $500 less expensive now compared to it was in vanilla. It's still not the right time to get it. It's sure it increases DPS, but in a matchup where flame tanks are not that great, I feel like Purifying Flame isn't that important. At least compared to some other upgrades in the game, like Charged Particle Beams. I should aim to get that. It's only $1,000 once you get to tier 3. And now this infantry force is pushing in. He's going to build Shredder turrets, he's going to build Scorpion tanks, infantry. He has to respond to this. There's a flame tank, so he's building. That's actually a pretty good idea, building flame tanks. But he has to have enough of them out on the map to counter this effectively. This infantry is very difficult to defend versus, and you know why he's built flame tanks, because he assumed I would garrison the middle of the map with those infantry forces, but instead I pushed in, and maybe he was hoping to clear out the middle with the flame tanks and then go into Scorpion tanks afterwards. Speaking of Scorpion tanks, I'm now transitioning to it myself. I built a tier 2, an operations center, to upgrade the dose blades. That tier 2 is also going to allow me to space my second refinery on my natural expansion a little bit further apart from the first one there, so I don't get them both destroyed by his catalyst missile, which would be disastrous. In the case of Nob Mirror, that's a game over if you lose 2 refineries on your field, unless you bike rush and come back from it, which is what happened in my game versus him several videos ago. So now I have captured the subway system. You see just now that a lot of areas on the map have had the fog removed. I've got access to this subway network once again. I'm going to repair the hub now, and I'm thinking of the options. What can I do? Can I go for Black Hand Squads? Can I go for a Commando? Sure, Commandos are great, but I thought, yeah, let's go for Fanatics. We don't have the Tiberium Infusion. We don't have any upgrades. But who needs speed when you have a subway system? Subway systems provide you with amazing transportation speed. I'm going to be able to get across the map instantly to his side of the map. We see a couple of tanks there aiming down this subway entrance, but the last thing they'd expect is a couple of Fanatics coming out and taking out those tanks. So those Fanatics came out of that subway, and the tanks will be forced to retreat. And I'm building more Fanatics. I've got a rally point there. This is keeping him distracted. He cannot deal with this effectively. And also repairing that subway entrance as well. Again, this is not a costly investment. They're only $600, yet this is effective for me. Now, there's a couple of raider buggies there, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to place down a decoy Temple of Nod just to force these buggies a little bit closer to the subway entrance, so these Fanatics don't have to go as far to kill them. And yep, buggies get destroyed. Those Fanatics come out, they deal the damage, and I've got 2 more ready to spawn. So if he engages that once again with the Scorpion tanks, he will lose a tank or 2 more, and this is just keeping him distracted. He has something to worry about there with these Fanatic squads. There's 2 more coming out, and I have now my tier 4 support pass. I can perhaps lure these tanks into the Tiberium field and tip vein them. A second MCV comes out. So once again, like I did in that previous game, I'm doing more or less a similar thing to the previous game, except instead of Reckoners, I'm going for the subway system. But it is a very similar approach to this matchup, only I'm using subways instead of Reckoners. Black Hand Squad comes out. No way am I evacuating Fanatics to kill a Black Hand Squad. I'm setting up an expansion on my 3rd field now, and I have 2 more Fanatics in the bottom. I thought, okay, maybe in the bottom he won't have any defense there. Let's see if we can strike down a harvester of his with those Fanatics. You do need 2 Fanatics, as we saw in that first game, to kill a harvester at full HP. Blackhand harvesters have as much health as the Steel Talons ones do. They do have an additional 200 health due to them not having stealth. The refinery comes down, and now I'm getting clicked. Oh, that was a good play from him. I wasn't able to click him, but you know what he did there, guys? Because the Catalyst Missile targets the chemical plant as well, he aimed between both the refinery and the chemical plant and got both of them. So if you didn't know, you can actually kill refineries and chemical plants with that support power. And now I'm getting cornered here. There's nothing I can do. These tanks of mine are getting completely destroyed by these tanks. I am losing tank after tank. And what do? I was in a good position before. These Fanatics did a lot of damage for me. But because he has that upgrade advantage, because he is able to take out my army with minimal losses, what am I going to do against that? I'm in a dire predicament at this point. Blackhands are focusing on that subway hub. I don't want him to destroy that because I may have another use case of the subway system soon, but not before I defend this push off or try to. This is an uncertain time for me. That's a lot of tanks heading towards me, and I assumed at this point he's all in. He's not really all in, but I thought he would be. And this is going to be a very, very, very hard push to hold. I'm pre-placing obelisks. This is something I rarely do in my games. This is a very new thing for me, pre-placing defenses. Usually I react rather than be proactive, and I've placed defenses for him to target. This is just going to delay him a little bit. He's attacking me from multiple sides. But I have these obelisks already set up, and there's a lot of power plants there exposed with that upgrade, which is unfortunate for me. I need to defend this location off as quick as possible. I need to also get resources. I'm selling power plants off before they die as well, just so I can get the Cabal squad from them when it falls. He's taking out my refinery in the bottom, so I'm not going to have the ability to place further defenses there. I am bringing in resources, however, from 2 Tiberium fields. I have lots and lots of income coming in there with 4 refineries and 10 harvesters. So I'm going to have just about enough to deal with this attack. There's an expansion point in the middle of the map. Never noticed it until now. I'm not sure what you could do with that when you have subway systems. You can only put infantry inside of subway systems, and I don't intend to change that. I like how it is designed on this map, as mentioned in the video I did a couple of videos ago. So I'm just building obelisk after obelisk. There's no venoms just yet. And I'm just keeping him at bay, thinking maybe I can one-click that refinery of his. Or better yet, build a secret shrine, and maybe, just maybe, I can get a commando into his base, distract him with a force of infantry, and commando his refineries by using the subway system. So let's see if that works. More flame tanks come out. I'm keeping him distracted whilst this is happening. Secret Shrine does finish. And I'm going to build another hazard nod to place it closer to the subway entrance near my base. Scorp tanks come in. Scorp tank, flame tank, very potent combo versus infantry. This is the hardest possible thing to come up against as Blackhand. I need to get a Redeemer out, and I need to get it out now. My Redeemer engineering facility is working on an epic unit. I really need that to come out. 1 raise gen, and I might have a chance. But he has Tiberium coming in, and the more of the units he builds, the more I'm going to have trouble in dealing with it. His units are just simply way more cost effective than mine. He can build a lot of tanks, and I just don't have I just don't have the unit to take them out. It's very difficult without any Scorp tanks upgrades of my own. Like I said, I have to be in a good position already. The Fanatics fortunately helped me out, but I did sack a lot of my tanks earlier. And now I've got this Fanatic squad and Commando coming out. I'm going to target those refineries. I've already queued them up, and I see, uh-oh, there's a Venom there. He is targeting down that Commando. So let's go back into the subway system. Maybe he'll forget about it. But in fact, the Commando is inside of there. I wonder what happens if you destroy the hub. Maybe the Commando comes out like an APC. If an APC, no, not an APC. Like a garrisonable structure. Maybe a unit comes out if the entrance or hub is destroyed. Not sure how that works, but it's a seldom used mechanic, and I like it a lot on this map. Flame tanks in the top. Scorpion tanks approaching me from a different side, but I have Obelisks of Light, and I'm defending this off. Commando comes back out of the subway system, and I was able this time to take out both of the refineries. So yeah, this subway system really is amazing for Black Hand and factions with good infantry. I imagine for Channel 59 it is amazing as well for the Prodigy, though they technically have their own subway system in the form of the wormhole. They don't really need it, but in the case of not having that heroic commando go through a subway is amazing. Purify is heading towards this Redeemer Engineering facility. I am beelining for it. I don't want him to get that Redeemer out. That would be disastrous for me, him having an army of tanks in this as well as a Redeemer. I can't see how I would stop that. I'm also pushing towards him with an MCV because I need to put down AA turrets against these Venoms. Purify is moving into his base. I need to keep the pressure up. I need to continuously apply pressure because Black Hand just don't have the forces necessary to deal with this type of gameplay. You've got to be very non-stop with the pressure. The tanks of his still trying to attack me. That's still a number of tanks left for him remaining. Another Purifier comes out. He's trying to engage this. I sell the Obelisk of Light to get that Cabal. If you don't, then you're going to get less members from your assault of Obelisk of Light or any structure for that matter. 2 Purifiers more for me, and I'm bringing Tiberium in the southern field. That's really the only Tiberium that's left on this map. He's harvested his field. I've harvested mine. Redeemer going through his base, taking out the power plants. He's trying to take out my tier 3, but he's not going to have the forces necessary to do it. I drop another obelisk. Maybe that's a little overkill, but if I don't need them anymore, I can sell them off and get $1,000 per each obelisk. Redeemer uses the Rage Gen. Venoms are out. He's going to be able to kill the infantry that's stranded up in the top. I get a crush or 2 with this Redeemer, and now I'm thinking, yep, instead of targeting these tanks, I should just go for the production. If I can destroy those production structures, he's not going to have the ability to build any more units from any more vehicles, and that's the only thing I'm really concerned about, Scorpion tanks. If I take out these war factories, it's going to limit him to just infantry and Venoms, which as Black Hand are much more manageable compared to laser capacitor Scorpion tanks. So yeah, this Redeemer falls, but it paid off for sure. Got the power grid, and it also take out those war factories. Purifier falls as well. He'll get the Purifier husk most likely. He'll get a Purifier or 2, but that's not a big deal because now I'm going to build some infantry. I've got that tip core upgrade upgraded on my SAMs. I don't have the quad turret upgrade. And both of us are running dry out of Tiberium. The obelisk gets taken out there, and he has the Venoms, but he can't engage this due to the SAM turret as well as the buggies. Purifiers of mine getting reclaimed. And he also has a carrier V35. Not sure what he's trying to do with that. Maybe take over my MCV. Lots of power plants though near my MCV, so if he does that and I notice it, I can just sell one of those off. Lots of infantry heading out across the map, and again he has that Venom spam, so it's going to be very difficult to engage. I need to go for bikes, I reckon, but I have Raider buggies. He's got Purifiers as well, so he has ground forces as well as myself. Both of us, like I said, don't have any resources. I'm bringing in some, but most of it is from sold off structures I got resources for. Now the good thing is those Purifiers he captured of mine can't be repaired. There's no war factory. He uses the cloaking field on my imp. That was 3 grand for him, just used there. And these harvesters are now being detected by the Black Hand Raider buggies, which have decent stealth detection radius. Fortunately for Black Hand. And I've got the MCV to defend against the infantry. Venom's ahead, overhead, trying to take out the infantry, but it's simply not enough. And he's going to call the GG there. So I thought that was another cool game featuring Fanatics. This time I didn't use the Reckoner. Instead, I went for the subway system and used Fanatics that way. And they had varying success. Definitely on Highlands, the Reckoner was a great play. In a pinch, Fanatics inside the Reckoners, inside the subways, can be very effective. And I thought that was a great demonstrational video of what you can do, what you can expect with Fanatics. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching this game, and hope you all enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to smash the like button. I really appreciate that. And before I go, as always, I'd like to thank my Patreon members for supporting me and my channel and keeping this game alive. Thank you ever so much for the continued support. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video. Peace out.